Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today. It's now time for Believe It or Not. Heath Cummings gives you a statement and tells you if he believes it or not. And you can follow suit as well. We have some Twitter polls to keep along with that also. So, Heath, let's go right to it. Believe it or not, Saquon Barkley is a must-start running back in all formats rest of season.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit beforehand. Just 22 touches in this game. No Devontae Booker active. He's going to be inefficient. The offense is going to be bad. The touchdowns may not be as good as they used to be, but that type of volume, and he showed enough this week against the Falcons. You're starting him in any format every week.
Chris, any hesitation?
Not at all. He's running 75% of the routes, playing 80% of the snaps since week 2. The role is clearly there. And you look at the inefficiency and it's a problem, but one thing he hasn't really had, he's only had the one big play. And Saquon Barkley has been a guy throughout his career who has really feasted on the big play. He's not necessarily, 5 yards every time. It's 2 yards, 0 yards, 50 yards. He had 7 45-yard runs in that big rookie season. So I think he's still capable of that kind of thing. And if he, breaks a long one in week 4, we're going to see a massive game. But either way, I think the floor is really high every week with a very high ceiling. He's going to be a top 12 running back for me rest of the season.
Let's see what Twitter says in agreement with Heath. I'm going to guess the answer is yes, and there you go. 77.3% says yes, Saquon Barkley is a must-start running back in all formats. You have to have a really loaded team to bench him, even when he was struggling, and now that he showed you that good game against Atlanta, hopefully things are great moving forward, and we'll see how he does in week 4. Next one we're talking about here is Giovanni Bernard. So believe it or not, Giovanni Bernard is the best Tampa Bay running back in full PPR rest of season. We're going to assume that he's healthy. Again, got a little bit banged up with that knee injury at the end of the Rams game.
He had 20 fantasy points in this game. That's twice as many as Ronald Jones has for the entire season. Almost twice as many as Leonard Fournette has scored in a game. But no, I don't believe it. I think the only way you can believe it is if you think Tampa Bay is going to be playing from behind, because he still doesn't have a carry on this season. He is firmly locked into this role, and he reminded us he's still very good at this role. But unless you think they're going to be chasing the score or playing fast, I don't think Giovanni Bernard's going to be that involved.
And the best he was prior to this was week 1 when they were in a hurry-up offense to try and kick a field goal against the Cowboys, and he was very involved at the end of the game there. So, Chris, is he just a game script-dependent running back at this point?
Yeah, I mean, the James White comp is obvious, but the difference is James White was averaging 3.4 fantasy points per game from his rushing stats during his 2 best seasons. Giovanni Bernard, as Heath said, 0 rushing stats so far. So I actually refuse to acknowledge the legitimacy of the question because I don't think there is a best Tampa Bay running back. That implies that I want to use a Tampa Bay running back in fantasy, and I have no interest in doing that.
It might take an injury until we see the best of one of those guys. And again, Gio might be hurt, so that could open the door for Leonard Fournette, who we did see catch a lot of passes in that week 1 game against Dallas. He's more of the hybrid of the two, but yes, at least at this point with everybody healthy, it's hard to trust Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Giovanni Bernard fully to what they might be able to do if one guy was missing. All right, last one we're going to do here. Believe it or not, DeAndre Swift is a buy high, not a sell high running back.
I mean, he might be both, but I will say he's more of a buy high than he is a sell high. I love this role. It's everything that we had hoped that it would be. He leads the Lions in total targets so far this season. They get behind, they throw it to him a lot. They get in a competitive game, they're going to run it with him quite a bit. I just think unless he gets hurt, he's pretty surefire as a top 12 PPR running back rest of the season.
All right, Chris, we know Heath is victory lapping over here with DeAndre Swift. Should he be?
I mean, look, I'm the guy who had Austin Eckler as a top 6 running back coming into the season. I'm the guy who has Chase Edmonds on a bunch of my teams. I love pass-catching running backs. I love what they do for your fantasy team. DeAndre Swift looks, really like an Austin Eckler clone. The season he's having looks very similar to Austin Eckler's in 2019 and really what he did last year without the injury. So, yeah, I think he's a top 12 running back in PPR moving forward, no doubt.
Yep. Look, 2 games out of 3, he was really good. And even in that second game against the Packers, it was the 4th quarter. You saw where Jared Goff was going. This receiving core is miserable. So he needs DeAndre Swift. He needs Jamal Williams, especially in a game like we saw where TJ Hockenson was taken out of the game. So kudos to Jared Goff, to Anthony Lynn, the offense coordinator there, leaning on their best players. And in this case, DeAndre Swift might be the best player on Detroit's offense. Want more of the Fantasy Football Today podcast and nonstop year-round fantasy advice? It's simple. Hit the subscribe button and hang with us all throughout the year.